Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Relissa Sylvester from Centro Excelencia, and tonight is our third live, right, in a series of live sessions that we are having. Tonight, we would be focusing on the CSEC Spanish Paper 2. We would be delving right into the paper 2. So we would be discussing the different sections, how long you should take on each section, yeah, all that good stuff, right? So before we start, first things first, I would like you all to know that I am Relissa Sylvester from El Centro de Excelencia. And for this series, right, I would be partnering with eTutor TT. So just some information about the two different companies that I just mentioned, right? So as I said, I am Relissa Sylvester from El Centro de Excelencia, and we are a Spanish-speaking school located in South Trinidad, right? We offer classes to students in forms 1 to 5 who are currently, who would be preparing in the end to write CSEC Spanish, right? So that is what we offer. So also eTutor TT. Now this is our online and stuff like that. So yeah, right? So we'd be starting in the next 2 minutes. In the meantime, you can enjoy my selection of music, right? I can from Chronics while we wait for persons to come on, all right? And I would just like to thank all the early comers, everybody who's logging on. Again, I'm through the Excellencia, and I would be partnering with eTutor TT tonight to bring you all this good information about the Spanish paper 2, all right? So we'll be starting in the next 2 minutes. You all could just relax, enjoy yourself, get some popcorn, get a notebook if you are in Form 5, right? To take down all these notes, right? Because I'll be dropping some good gems tonight, right? So we'll be starting in the next 1 minute, all right? You all could go ahead and comment in the comment section if you have any specific section of the paper that you want me to go a little bit more in depth to, right? Anything that you want me to discuss a little more, you could comment that in the comment section as well, so you could let me know, all right? Good night to the person who just said hi. Hi. So guys, we would be going ahead and we'll be starting for tonight, right? As I would have said over the last few sessions, I do not want these sessions to be too long, right? Usually I try to keep it down to 30 minutes. However, tonight we might go a little over the 30 minutes. All right, so we're going straight into it, right? We're going straight into it. So, a series of classes, this is the third in this first week. We covered pronunciation tips. Last week, we'll be covering the CSEC Spanish paper 2, right? So, we are going, right? So, first thing I want you all to remember is that the Spanish paper 2 has 4 sections, right? Section 1 is where we have the situations. Section 2, right, is where, we would go more into section 2 when we get there. But all I want you to remember for now is that section 1 is where we have the situations, and that is what we will be getting into. Also, throughout this live, I would be showing you all a past paper as well, so you all can have a visual of how it looks, right? So what I also want you to remember is that the Spanish paper 2 is 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I would also be giving you all just my recommendations on how long you should take on each section, right? Now, students vary. A student might like a particular section more than another section, so they might move faster in a specific section. But as I said, these are just my recommendations. right? So first things first, we have section 1. 1 is where you have the situations, right? So let me bring up a past paper. I have, this is January 2012 paper 2, right? So you see section 1 consists of 10 questions, right? And the total marks allocated in section 1 is 30 marks. For section 1, it is 10 hypothetical questions. And the most important part in section 1 is to answer the question, right? And what the situation is asking you. Now, you could have a very grammatically correct answer. Not answer the question you would not get your full allocation of marks. So for example, let me use a past paper here. I'm looking at C, right? So you are not feeling well and go to visit the doctor. You ought to do. What does he recommend, right? So first thing, the doctor recommends 2 things. So if you only put 1 thing, you would not get your full marks because it's 2 things that the doctor is recommending, right? And what does he recommend? He could recommend that you take some medication and that you rest, right? That could be 2 of the recommendations, medication and rest. Now, if you say this, somebody says the stream is sticking. Okay, so guys, I apologize for that, right? I hope that it comes back up. You know how technology goes, the internet gives a little problem sometimes, right? So I do apologize for that, but it's beyond my control. All right, so if you are now logging on, right, I want you to know that I am Relissa Sylvester from El Centro Excelencia, right? And we are a Spanish-speaking school located in South Trinidad, right? I offer tutoring to students in Forms 1 to Forms 5, right? And at the end, I help them prepare for the Spanish CSEC examination. Tonight, I would be partnering with eTutor TT. Now, eTutor TT is an online one-on-one tutoring company and tutoring to students from primary school straight up to secondary school, right? So also they offer a variety of subjects. So they offer, as I would have said before, the physics, the chemistry, the biology. They offer a variety of subjects, right? Also, they have packages that are tailored towards each person's need, right? So they have packages for $250, $450, and $600. Right, so if you look to the bottom of the slide, you should see our contact information, but I would also share it with you at the end. Right, so guys, that is it for the section 1. Right, so we're moving on to the section 2. Also, before we move on, what I forgot to tell you with the section 1, let me go back up, is that you should not take more than 30 minutes with the section 1. Right, the reason why you shouldn't take more than 30 minutes is because you still have other sections of the paper to go on to 15 minutes. The paper isn't 3 hours, or you do not have a bountiful amount of time, right? The paper is only 2 hours and 15 minutes. So what I recommend, 30 minutes max on the section 1. If when you are doing your past papers, try to time yourself. So try to keep it in between that 30 minutes period. Try to keep it right there, right? 20, 25, 30 minutes max. If you realize that 30 minutes has passed and you did not finish the section 1, stop and move on to the next section, right? It doesn't make sense you spend a whole hour on the section 1 and that is all you get to do, right? Doesn't make sense, right? So moving quickly on to the section 2. Now for the section 2, and I would bring up a past paper as well, right? The section 2 is where you have your letter or your composition. Now, there isn't a major difference between the two. However, I just prefer the letter. I just prefer to write letters. That is just my personal preference. When I am preparing students, I stress on the letter, right? It's just a personal preference for me. The mark allocation is still the same. You still have 30 marks. What I want you to notice with the letter though, especially any students that I have on tonight, what I want you to notice with the letter is that they give you 4 clues, right? So for example, as well as the composition, by the way, as well as the composition, you do have 4 clues for the composition. So we're looking at the letter. So we see the instructions. A close relative has gone to Colombia to work for a year. During this time, some exciting things have been happening in your life. Write a letter to your relative in which you 1. Greet the person and inquire about his or her work. 2. Express your feelings about the person's absence from your country. 3. Share some of your most exciting experiences. And 4. Express your hopes and plans for the return of your relative. Now, each of these clues should serve as a paragraph. I always tell students this: develop your paragraphs around these clues. Once you develop your paragraphs around these clues and you make sure and answer each clue, fine. Again, pay attention to your tenses, right? Pay attention to your tenses. Are you talking in the present tense? Is it a past tense? Is it a future tense? Are you giving a command? Are you in the subjunctive? Are you hoping or wishing for something? Because you are talking in. And something that I learned from a learning therapist, she says to do a memory dump. So let's just say you are students out there and you're not good with your endings, right? For your verb endings, let's just say you know your verb endings give you some problems. What I would recommend, soon as you open the paper, write down your verb endings. So write down your present tense, as, amos, and, right? Write down your preterite. Write down your imperfect, write down your subjunctive, write down your imperative, write down your tenses on the first paper. So when you need to go back, it is not a problem. When you need to, skip back to remember a specific tense, is not a problem for you, right? So what we call that a memory dump, right? And it's where, as I said, if you have problem with tenses, you write all your tenses down. Soon as you open the paper, you write down everything that you know. All right, it makes it so much easier for you in the exam. Right now, what I also want students to remember is that there is a word limit. Right, the word limit is 130 to 150 words. Now, CXC usually allows you 10 words below and 10 words above. So you could give them 120 and you could give them 160. However, do not go above that. Right? Do not go above that. The reason for that is because they start to deduct marks. This is not English where you have a extremely large word limit. Like I think it's 300 to 350. You only have 130 to 150 words. So be sure to answer all the clues, answer those 4 clues in 150 words. All right. So as I said, the letter and the composition, they both have the same mark allocation. Both of them are given 30 marks. Right now, to get your full 30 marks, again, pay attention to your tenses. Look out for those tenses. Make sure, I actually had a class little before this. And what I told a student, I was like, remember in Spanish, we are not translating words. We are translating ideas. Right? So make sure you are translating the correct idea. Also use vocabulary that you are accustomed using. Now, I want you all to stop what you're doing and not use vocabulary that you are not accustomed using. The exam day is not the day to get fancy and want to be using the world of vocabulary. That is not the time. Use tenses also that you are comfortable with. If you're comfortable with preterite and imperfect, fine. Go ahead. If you know preterite and imperfect gives you some trouble, avoid it at all costs unless absolutely necessary. Don't try to use the subjunctive and you don't know the proper formation. Forget it. Don't do it. All right? The exam day is not the day to try things you never tried before. That is not that day. Right? So I hope you all understand and have a good grasping of the section 2, right? Of the paper 2. So let me go quickly to the comment section. If it is sticking, please click on restart. Good. Sorry about the technical issues, everyone. We're trying our best. Somebody said yes, it is sticking. Yeah, it is sticking. I know, guys. Sessions are very, very difficult. But what I want you all to know is that we would be posting the lives on our different pages. We would be posting it on Facebook and Instagram at eTutorTT, and we would be posting it on Facebook and Instagram at Il Centro de Excelencia. So you could look out for the post live. You all could look out for that, right? So moving on, right, to the section 3, right? So we're moving straight on to the section 3. The section 3 is where you have your contextual dialogue or your contextual announcements. Again, it's just personal preference. I prefer the dialogue. That is just me. I prepare students for the dialogue. You could do anyone. You get same marks for anyone. I personally just prefer the contextual dialogue. It's just a personal thing. Right now, let me bring up one for you. Right, so we're going in between the slides and the past papers, right? Again, this is January 2012 past paper, right? So for the contextual dialogue, again, in this one, you are given 5 clues, right? You have 5 clues to answer, but your word limit in this one is 80 to 100 words. Again, generally, you could go 10 words below, 10 words above. So you could go 70 to 110 words. Right, that is you know, the word limit that you are allowed. You could generally go 10 below, 10 above, not a problem. Just like the letter, make sure and answer the clues, right? Make sure, pay specific attention to the clues. Also, what I want you to remember, for the contextual dialogue, it's a dialogue. So therefore, we need to have 2 people talking. Right? It's not a monologue, right? It's not like your letter where you only have, you know, one person talking, one person, you know, going ahead, right? Yes, sorry about that. Somebody just texted me, a Spanish teacher just texted me. He said, announcement has been removed. Oh yes, the contextual announcement as well as the composition has been removed from the syllabus. So for the syllabus, for what year are we in? For this sitting exam here, you only have a letter as well as your dialogue. That is it, just your letter and your dialogue. Thank you very much to that teacher who texted me. Thank you very much. Right? So yes, you have your letter and you have your dialogue, and that is it. So you don't even have a contextual and on the syllabus anymore. It's just the contextual dialogue. So again, as I was saying before, the dialogue, again, it's a dialogue. So you need to have, for example, let's just say Maria saying something and you, which is I, saying something, right? So that is it. Again, be sure to answer the question. Be sure to answer the clues. The dialogue, you do have 20 marks are allocated for the dialogue. A very good thing with the dialogue, what I would tell students, if you find you are dropping below the word limit, ask extra questions related to the clues. Give extra information. So for example, be looking at this dialogue here. You will soon be leaving your home country to study abroad. Before you visit your you visit your grandmother to inform her of your departure. Responses to all of the cues below must be included in the completed dialogue, right? The first one, the purpose of your travel abroad. Okay, yes, you could just to go off to university in the United States, where I plan to study medicine. That is at least 20 extra words right there. So be sure when you're doing your dialogue, if you find you're going below the word limit, add in extra words, add in extra information. Again, how you feel about your trip? How do you feel about your trip? You're excited, you're sad. Fine. You could be, let's just say you're excited. All right. Give more information. Don't just say I am excited. Give more information. Tell your grandmother in the dialogue that I'm very chapter in my life, or I'm very excited to be starting medical school. It has always been a dream of mine. Give information to make up your word limits. Don't move on from that section if you only have 50 words. Try your best to get to the word limit. Also, for this section, what I would recommend, 30 minutes again. right? You cannot stay too long on this section because remember, I would have said the section 1, 30 minutes. The section 2, 35 to 40 minutes. And the section 3, 30 minutes. So that's already 1 hour and 40 minutes gone right there already, right? So you have to time yourself again when you're doing your past papers. Make sure and time yourself. All right, so if you are now joining on, let me go back to the comment section, see if I have any questions. No, I don't have any questions. Okay, good. Right, be sure, good, I don't have any questions. Good. So again, if you're now joining us, I am Relissa Sylvester from Il Centro Excelencia. I know I look a little different from the picture that you're seeing here, but it's the same person, right? I am Relissa Excelencia, and we are a Spanish school located in South Trinidad. Classes, we offer tutoring to students in forms 1 to 5, and in the end, we help them prepare for the CTEC Spanish examinations. Tonight, as well as next week, I would be partnering, or I am partnering, with eTutor TT. Now, eTutor TT is an online platform, an online educational platform that offers one-on-one tutoring to students of all ages, from primary school straight up to secondary school. eTutor TT offers a variety of subjects, right? They have the integrated science, they have the math, they add math, as well as they have packages specifically tailored for your needs. So you could get your packages from $250, $450, and straight up to $600. So you could feel free to contact them. You could message us on Facebook and Instagram, eTutor TT, or you can message me personally at Il Centro de Excelencia on Facebook as well as on Instagram, right? So we are on section 4. We are on the last section of the paper 2, right? Now, in section 4 of the paper 2, we're logging on here, right? So we're seeing a past paper, right? In section 4 of the paper 2, you have your reading comprehension. Now, the key to this reading comprehension, and I can't stress this enough, I always tell students, you do not need to understand every single word in the reading comprehension, but you need to understand the idea of what is going on in the reading comprehension. That is what you need to get at. You need to understand the idea of that section 4. So you may not have the widest vocabulary, but I always tell students in local parlance, pick sense out of nonsense and figure out what is going on, right? You may not know all the vocabulary, and that is fine. CXC not asking you to know all the vocabulary in the Spanish language, but pick sense out of nonsense and figure out what is going on. I always tell students that, right? For the section 4, for this last section, again, 20 marks is allocated. Now, I would want to go through with you all the mark allocation here. So you see you have your 1 mark questions, you have your 2 marks, and then you have your 3 marks, right? So obviously 1 mark questions are the simple questions, right? The 2 marks, you're giving more detail, and the 3 marks is where you have to get really in-depth to get those full 3 marks. What I always tell students, again, I cannot stress this enough, you may not know all the vocabulary. CXC doesn't expect you to know all the vocabulary in the Spanish language, but put the idea together in your mind and get through the reading comprehension. All right. For the reading comprehension, as well as I would always say, and this is for the entire paper, answer all the questions. Answer every single question that is on the paper. You do not want to leave out, oh, miss, I thought it was that, but I wasn't sure, so I left it out. You could be correct, and you could have lost a mark. And, well, you would have lost a mark. And that 1 mark could be the difference between a 1 and a 2, right? Between a fail and a 3, or between a 3 and a 2. So try your best to answer all the questions on the paper too. What I also tell students as well, well, not what I also tell students, but one of the instructions for the paper too, is that you are answering this section in English. So it should be even more comfortable to you, right? Because you're answering in English. So you may not have the answer on point when section 4, and that is your 2 hours right there. Now, even though the exam is 2 hours and 15 minutes, you do not, under no circumstance, want to spend the entire 2 hours and 15 minutes. Is crazy. That is insane, right? Because you need time to check over. You might have left out a situation at the top that you want to get back to. You might not have been sure of a specific tense. You need to get back to that. That is what that 15-minute grace period is for, as well as just for generally checking over of the paper that you did. I always tell students, make sure and check over, but don't overly check over, right? Don't over check over that. You're changing things that might have been correct. Now, just a little extra for tonight, I would like to show you some of the textbooks that I use in order to help students prepare for the paper 2, as well as for the CSEC Spanish exam on a whole, right? You all could, if you are in Form 5 preparing for exam this year, it really doesn't make sense buying it at this last minute. But if you are in Form 4 preparing for exams next year, it will be a good investment. Right, so the first one, let me bring up this first one because this one is from a local teacher and I love this one, right? So this book is I hope you can see it in the light, Tenga Éxito, right? It is from Koran Danraj. The name of the book is Tenga Éxito en CSEC Spanish, right? That is the name of this book. Now, guys, I have had this book probably like 2 months, and you see the condition of this book already. I'm not even ashamed. It's whatever, right? This book, for me, is like the holy grail for CSEC Spanish. This book is where it's at. This can't get better than this book. This book, and as I said, it's from a local teacher. It's from somebody right here in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, this book is not on the bookshelves, so you could feel free to contact him. Let me just look for his number in 2 seconds, right? You could feel free to contact him at 367-5565. Again, for this book, it is not on the bookstore, so you could feel free to contact the author, Koran Danraj, at 367-5567. Now, let me show you a little bit inside this book before I end. So, he has vocabulary related to all the topics on the syllabus. All the topics, he has vocabulary for you. He also has, it gets better, guys. It really does get better. He also has model answers for each of the sections that I would have just discussed. Yeah, this book was a really good investment for me. He also has, hold on, let me show you, practice reading passages, right? He also has that. Now, some of these reading passages, I would be honest, some of them are harder than the past papers, but that is good because it gives you the practice that you need for that oral section that we would have discussed in the first week. It gives you the practice for that oral section, right? As well as he has more vocabulary straight to the back of the book. And as I would have said, he has model answers for the different sections. So this is the first book by local teacher Koran Danraj. You could reach out to him on Facebook. He is on Instagram, and again, his number is 367-5565. If you're in Form 4 preparing for exams next year, get this book. Now, don't get the book and don't use it. Don't get the book and don't use it. You're wasting time, right? Get the book and use it. It's really, really good, right? So that's the first book that I use to prepare students for exam. The second book is Essential Spanish Vocabulary for Caribbean Students. Excellent. If I have any students log on here, all the vocabulary that I give you is from this bad boy right here. This book is where it's at. Now, this book has a variety of vocabulary, right? So it has vocabulary on topics that are on the syllabus, topics that are not on the syllabus. It just has a wide variety of vocabulary. So for example, I'm looking at this page here. We have El Comercio, business. So it has vocabulary related to the heading. So this heading, you would see the heading is business, and it has vocabulary related to business. excellent resource. If you are in Form 4, again, you should get this. I got this book at Muhammad's bookstore and it was 107 when I got it. I'm not sure of the price right now. Also, this book, this first book that I just told you all about, I'm not sure of the price. I think I paid 200 for it. Don't call Mr. Dan Raj and say Miss Sylvester said she paid 200 for it. Guys, I'm not 100% sure how much I paid for it, but this book, very, very, very good to prepare for the exam, as well as this book to boost your vocabulary. Oh, perfect. And the last book I want to show you all today, which is in a horrid condition as well because I use it all the time, is Spanish Grammar for the Caribbean. I love this book, right? I had this book, right? This book is from Charon. Yes, Charon's publishing house. When I bought it, I can't even see the price. Oh, it was $156.51. I bought this book in Muhammad's bookstore, called Few Link Road, San Fernando. I'm not sure of the price right now, if it raised or if it dropped, not sure. But this book for me, especially for the grammar section, well, the whole paper is on Spanish grammar, but especially to break down grammar topics, for example, preterite, imperfect, imperative, subjunctive. This book is really good. Now, if you have this book plus this book, you'll be fine, right? This extra book here is just like a booster for your vocabulary. It's just like a little extra for your vocabulary. Why I say extra is because these two books have vocabulary sections in them as well, right? So this extra book, if you're on a budget, I understand it's COVID. If you're on a budget, you can't afford all three, you could really and truly leave out this one, but get this one and this one. If you're a parent looking on, you want your child to get that extra boost for the exam next year, get these two books. If you have extra cash lying around, you could get this book, right? So I would be answering any questions that you will have at this time regarding the Spanish exam, right? If anyone has any questions, I'll give you all a few minutes to ask your questions. In the meantime, I would be playing my selection of music, right? Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm opening the floor for about 2 to 3 minutes. All right? All right, so I am not seeing any questions coming in, which means that everybody should be hearing me fine. I'm not seeing any persons complaining about the internet anymore. Thank you, Flo, for coming through. Thank you. Right, so again, I would like to end off by saying that I am Melissa Sylvester from Centro Excelencia. And I am the founder of a Spanish-speaking school located in South Trinidad. We offer tutoring to students in Forms 1 straight up to Forms 5. We help students as well to prepare for the Spanish CTEC examination, right? Tonight, I am partnering with eTutor TT to bring this series to you. eTutor TT is a one-on-one tutoring platform that offers students one-on-one tutoring in a variety of subjects from the primary school straight up to the secondary school, right? So they have packages from $250, $450 straight up to $600. If you want to get in contact with any one of us, you want to contact me for Spanish or eTutor TT for any other subject that you would be interested in, you could contact eTutor TT at 799-5095, or you could contact me at 781-5428. So again, you're seeing it on your screen. I would repeat that to you, 799-5095, or you could contact me for Spanish classes at 781-5428. If I have no other questions, that is the end of this live. Hasta luego, adios, via con Dios, every good thing to you, right? I hope you guys have a safe and productive week. The post live would be up on the various channels, e-Tutor and El Centro de Excelencia by tomorrow, Tuesday, for the latest, right? So you could catch the post live for the persons who were complaining that it was sticking. You all could catch that by tomorrow or Tuesday, the latest, right? I would like to thank you all for logging on, staying on through the bad Wi-Fi. I would like to thank you all, and I would see you next week. Oh, and before I forget, next week the live would be back on Facebook at El Centro de Excelencia. That is where the live would be next week. Next week I would be covering Spanish listening. So if you're in Form 5, your cousin is in Form 5, your daughter is in Form 5, your son is in Form 5, your nephew, your cousin twice removed is in Form 5, let them log on, because next week we'll be covering Spanish listening on Facebook at El Centro de Excelencia. I thank you all for staying on with me tonight, and it was my pleasure interacting with you and serving you. Adios.